So the question is, how do you get on the same page with your spouse to start investing into something that grows the money that you have? I was talking to a friend of mine and we were having a conversation and they were sharing how they wanted to go down the path of investing and their spouse wasn't on the same page. So the conversation really today is, what do you do when you know the right thing to do is invest money? Because if you don't learn to, first of all, make some money, control your spending is the most important thing, but make a little money, save a little money, and grow some of your money. How do you ever retire?
Right.
Unless you're just one of the very, very, very few who have a massive income and just, money comes easy. That's not the normal for most people. Even the most successful people, that usually wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So what we have to learn is, when do we start investing? But the challenge is sometimes couples are not on the same page. Some are either ultra conservative, one of the spouse, and the other is ready to invest and wants to do something. What do you do when you can't agree?
I feel like you need to get some education from someone or something, but obviously fear is always a big thing that comes in there because people are scared and they don't want to lose money. So I feel like if you, maybe the person who doesn't want to and they're more conservative, they're not educated enough on the different things they can do to invest money. Maybe they need more information or talk to someone who can give them some guidance. Yeah,
that's a good point. Hey, shameless plug, since she just went down that road. I just released a book called Fear to Fortune, and it was my journey in the real estate game and how we built our wealth and freedom. And it really was spawned off of conversations with countless people who, when they find out you're in real estate, they want to know more and they want to know, how do I do it and that type of thing. So literally after all these years, after 25 years, I wrote a book. And it's just that. It's really to help people have a blueprint to go down this path and invest in real estate safely, as safe as you possibly can, without quitting your day job. And the freedom that potentially comes from that down the road in your future is incredible. But the biggest thing is you have to get over your fears and actually have to start. That's the premise of the book. So back to this conversation. You just kind of brought that out when you said that. So. I think first of all, you have to have a conversation and get on the same page. But you have to, I think it's important, most important, to know your why. Why do you want to invest? Why do you want more? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Do you just expect retirement to come and you're going to, have a lot and live this dream life and vacation and do all these things? Well, that doesn't happen without intent.
So what do you say to, how do they get on the same page then? That's what I was saying. Don't you think they should talk to someone or get some guidance from someone who knows? Because how do you just get on the same page? Yeah,
I think, it's unfair for one of the, partners, husband or wife, to say, no, we're not doing that. If one of them says it, then I think if the other one doesn't have the education or the understanding or the risk adversity or whatever it is, then the mature thing would do was say, okay, let's find a couple of people who know.
Right.
I always say, don't ask for directions from people who've never been where you're wanting to go. It's just a recipe for disaster, because everybody has information to tell you, but lots of them have never even been where you want to go.
Right.
They just happen to know. It's incredible. Everybody's got advice. But the point is, I think you have to figure out, okay, who do we talk to that either is in this space or has done well or has the success to prove it, that can give us some guidance and insight so you can help basically settle your spouse's fears, concerns, whatever it may be, so you can get on the same page. Here's what I know. If the best thing that you can do for yourself if you're wanting to start investing is start as soon as possible. Because time is your greatest asset, always, always. It takes time to build wealth. There is no overnight wealth. And most of the guys who are out there preaching overnight wealth or this big money fast, they're selling programs. They're not making money on doing that. They're making money on selling you a program. And it's pretty prevalent in real estate. It's all over the place. Now, for this conversation, we're talking more like real estate investing and that type of thing, which I think is a really safe, asset long term. Not stock market that's super volatile. Not my space. I'm bad at stocks. I'm the guy who, if you want to know when to buy, ask me when I'm selling, and that's probably the time you should
Yeah.
buy, because when I sell it, it goes up.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid
That's how it
stuff.
works.
But I don't know the space.
Yeah.
I know real estate and I understand it, and I've won in real estate many times over the years. So I think you have to get on the same page, number one. But I think, you have to really look at the fact of, what do you think your future is going to look like? What's it going to look like if you just do what you're doing right now?
Right.
And have you really sat down and thought about a pathway of how you're going to get there?
Yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of thinking and time and commitment, all of those things. And I remember you saying, you've said many times now, you wish, like you just said, you wish you would have started younger if you would have known what you know now. How much different it would have been if you would have got your first rental property a lot sooner.
Yeah, so
You just didn't know.
we've been super blessed.
Yeah.
However, I always tell everybody, what's the number one thing any successful investor would tell you they wish they'd have done differently? It's always the same thing. I wish I had started sooner.
Yeah.
Same here. Now, again, we've been blessed to have financial freedom from different businesses and stuff like that. However, if I could have started even 5 years, 10 years earlier,
Gosh, yeah.
I mean, I'd have been
You were
like
still
20.
young, yeah.
But either way,
Yeah.
some people do.
Yeah.
It would have made a massive, massive difference. I mean, it'd be incredible, the difference. So, yeah, time is always of the essence in the investment game. And most people don't have this thought until they get to like 35, maybe 40, because they're just, I'm going to work and, we're starting our life, we're going to buy a house and all that. Well, you should be thinking about investing as soon as possible. If you're managing your money, because it's your quickest route to freedom, is if you're starting to think, hey, if I'm putting some aside, when is the right time to start making that money grow? And it may not be, it could be something as safe as like a treasury bond. I mean, that's an easy one. At least put your money in there. So, I taught the girls, and not all of them do it, but one does. I'm like, hey, look, your money that you've saved up is just sitting there depleting because inflation is eating it. So if it's just going to sit there and you've got some extra cash, put it in a trade account, and you can buy some really safe stuff and make 4 or 5%, depending on the market, or even, there was a while just recently it was at 5.5%, but still yet, at least it's giving something, because otherwise your money is deteriorating by the rate of inflation because it won't buy as much as inflation goes up. So it's a constant in the world. So it at least protects your money and gives you more down the road from something so simple as, if I have savings, then why would I not have it in an investment account making something?
Right.
Because again, like a T-bill or something, I mean, my gosh, they're super easy to buy, and they'll at least pay you 4%. It's not going to make you rich or wealthy if you don't have a lot of savings. But so what? It's still something. It's still 4%. It's still riding with potentially the inflation rate.
You always have said that, and put your money in something that's going to make it grow. Don't just let it sit. Do something with it that's going to grow your money. Yeah,
and then at some point when you have the ability and you've saved enough, then push into real estate. And it doesn't always mean, I tell people all the time, it doesn't mean you have to go buy a piece of real estate by yourself. You can partner with people, you can look for a private lender, you can do a lot of things to get into real estate if you want to fight through it to win. And some of this is kind of the blueprint part of the book, but the point is, anybody can if you're willing to work a little bit, but the potential gains down the road are massive. They're massive. They're game changers. 20 years down the road. If you've got 20, 30, if you've got 30 years, I didn't have that.
Right.
If you've got 30 years, wow. I mean, you could crush it. You could crush it just by how real estate grows, and with all the rent increase and the money along the way. I mean, it just, it's an incredible game changing event for your future that you can then have a life. Basically, you could be a blue collar worker your entire life, and make kind of a low wage. And if you started this, because it doesn't mean that a blue collar can't, type worker or a blue collar type job can't end up in this position. They absolutely can. But the difference is they could keep working that same job and feeding it into investment like that, and they could have massive wealth by the time they retire, only because they started as soon as possible feeding into this. So
what do you say? Like, first of all, they have to get on the same page. So
yeah, number one, you have to get on the same page. You have to make a point to say, hey, we need to sit down and talk about this, because it's giving away your future. The best asset you have is time. The best thing you have on your side is time. If you don't take advantage of it, you're literally throwing it away. And who the heck wouldn't like to have a $500,000, $10 million more at retirement than not?
Absolutely.
It's a pretty easy choice, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was 50 grand more, which, because you started late.
Yeah.
It's 50,000 more than you had before that somebody else paid for, because you decided to just keep trickle your money in instead of just letting it sit there rot and deplete with inflation.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of ways, but the point is, you have to get on the same page, and I think it's important for a husband and wife to sit down and say, hey, what's our plan? What are we doing here? What's our why? What's our plan? And let's push towards that, and then what's our number to where the number we decide, if it's, say, 1,000 or 5,000, whatever it may be, when are we going to start investing it in something?
Yeah.
And then when you're on the same page, you get focused on it, and you have a goal, and you can start making some forward progress. That's what I think. But it's the greatest thing you could do for yourself, especially, man, if you're young.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I wish I had somebody telling me this stuff when I was starting out, because, I didn't buy the first property till, what was I, 31, 2-ish?
I'm trying to think. I think so.
32-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I've been fortunate that I kind of went like this, but, still yet, if I could have started at 26, killer.
You always wanted to. You always talked about it when you were in your 20s, but it was the fear and the...
That's why I wrote the book.
Yep.
Because it took me years, and I read tons of books. I have probably 40, 50 books on real estate.
Yeah.
And after reading them all, nothing ever gave me enough of the courage to step in. It took me years later to do so. And they were incomplete. So that was the thing with the book, is I wanted to fill the gap on some of the things that I've learned are far more important than what I read in all those books. Because everybody's telling the same story, and they're out to sell books. I don't really care about selling a book. My intent is, hey, here's a book with some real information that you can follow the blueprint.
Yeah.
Go do something.
Exactly.
Go buy some real estate. It can change your life. So anyway, get on the same page. But the best advice that I could give, and I think every investor that I know would agree, is don't wait. Get some money, and as soon as you can, start investing.